Welcome to Bears Banner, where the Chicago Bears fans come to talk about the Chicago Bears. Tonight on the broadcast, we have Jay Beasley, Guy Moore, Tammy Harris. Keith Flournoy couldn't make it tonight. He's a little bit under the weather, so we pray that he gets well. And also, we have a reoccurring guest, Mike Alton. We're praying that he gets better. He's not feeling well, also. But we like to talk about the Bears preseason game, and we'd like to welcome everybody who's on the broadcast tonight, who's watching us on Facebook Live, YouTube, and Twitch TV. Welcome to Bears Banner. How's everybody doing tonight?
Good.
Great.
Good. That's great. That's great. Yeah, hey, guy, who's that next to you?
Oh, this is my grandson. This is Cameron. We call him Cam. He's a hell of a Bears fan. This is my right-hand man here, and today is his birthday. So I said he get to hang out with G-Pot today and do the thing.
Happy birthday.
Hey, happy birthday. Hey, Cam, we live now, so whatever
Don't
you
be
say.
shy.
Yeah, shoot your shot now.
Shoot your shot.
Hey, hey, Cam, what did you get for your birthday?
I got this camera.
Okay.
I got some clothes, a lot of clothes for school.
Good.
And I got this today.
Yeah, balling.
My mom also got me this shirt for my birthday.
A little bling bling.
And I got some Bears stuff. I got a Bears poster, Bears gloves, Bears hat, Bears garbage can.
What about your sign? Your Bears
Sound
sign.
like you're a Bears fan. You a Bears fan?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So since you got a camera, you like taking pictures? Are you gonna be a future Gordon Parks? You know who that is?
Gordon Parks was a very prolific photographer. He was a Renaissance man. He could do everything great. He's known for his photography, his writing, everything. And he lived a long time. He'd be a good guy to mimic too. So
I know that's right.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, hey, if you ever need some help on working that camera, let me know. I actually used to shoot professional video. Matter of fact, I've done some work with like different stations, or not as far as being hired, but as far as just them showing me how to use cameras, and I did live productions, shooting at the United Center and some of those locations. And it's an interesting thing because when you do a video camera, a lot of what is dealing with is lighting. And also a lot of times when we doing like maybe amateur productions, we may not use like what they call white balances and black balances, but like your camera does have it, but that's how you get your picture is you white balance it. And so that's something you may want to try with your camera. You look on your camera, look for a feature that says white balance, and then you get a white background and focus your camera on that white background, and you hit that white balance button. And you'll see how much more amazing that picture looks when you white balance your picture.
I got a feeling that all his video is going to be with girls.
Look at Bernard. Bernard, you're a jack of all trades, man.
Yeah, I did a lot of stuff.
You got Bernard, he got the band, you got the receiver here, you got the cameraman, you got the balladeer, and
right.
So,
hey, but anyway, let's talk about the Chicago Bears game that played Saturday. I know it's kind of awkward time, so some of us probably missed it, the live game, and maybe caught it on video. But the Bears preseason game Saturday was at noon, and hold on, let me load that up. Okay, what was the score? Okay, the score was Chicago Bears 20 and the Dolphins 13. So, so let's talk about that game. I know preseason is not, there's not a lot in preseason that you could take away, but there are things that you can take away. And I know one of the things I'm anxious to get to is Justin Fields. Do y'all want to jump into him right away, or just talk about what we saw in the game?
Man, you know what? We're gonna do this. I know where Jay going with this one. But fellas, your birthday, I'm gonna get you to help me out. What did Justin Fields do today? You gotta read this for me.
Justin Fields led the Bears in passing, going 14 of 20, 70 for 142 yards. He had 1 touchdown and a passer rating of 106.7, and he added a rushing touchdown on 5 runs for 33 yards, but he had the fumble.
Awesome.
There you go.
Man,
There
look
you
at
go.
that.
There you go.
Man, that was a good job.
You know what, B, which is interesting? I've been hearing a lot of chatter online about, oh, well, he's going against the third and the fourth string. These people trying to make it. Because what he basically said that was he surprised by the speed of the game? He says it wasn't that fast to him. But just like he said, and a lot of people said, I mean, this dude is going up against a top defense in practice every day. And although you're going up against third and fourth string guys, you're going up against third and fourth string guys who are trying to make the team. So they playing like they're in the Super Bowl. But what I took from that, although it's the first game, I was impressed with his poise. It just seemed like when he was back there, you know, like as a rookie, you kind of like, okay, what's the check downs? What's the audibles? What do I do? He walked up like he knew what he was doing. I liked it, man. It was he did really good for what he was at the 14, 20. He did great.
Okay. Hey, what do you think, Jay?
Just to reiterate what Bernard said, his poise was absolutely amazing, which I'm not surprised. You know, Justin Fields has been a highly ranked quarterback throughout his entire career. And I'm talking about from high school, college, and now in the pros. As far as his comment, I liked his comment when he was like, the game wasn't, it was actually kind of slow to me. And like Bernard said, he was actually playing against probably second and third stringers. But he was real poised. And my biggest take from his entire play was the final drive in the second quarter.
Yes.
Where they started on the 23-yard line, and he got them down in field goal range with 45 seconds on the clock. That's 2-minute management. That's gameplay, and that was the most impressing thing to me. Because prior to that drive, the Bears didn't have a first down the entire game. So that drive right there, going into halftime, when he took his team down and wound up putting points on the board at the end of the first half, was the most impressive thing to me. I mean, the touchdown pass and the run, it was all good, but just to see him in a game situation in a 2-minute drill to drive the team down and score right before the half was the most impressive thing to me.
Hey, Bernard and Jay, one thing I will say, I bet you defense is hoping, pray that all they run is that doggone what's our spot, our play that we run all the time? We could run
the jet sweep.
Jet sweep.
Yeah, the jet sweep. Did you see when he came out, left, right, nobody, I'm gone. And you could just see the guys like, oh man, this dude is
But I'm gonna tell you something though. I was pretty impressed with the Bears overall. And like I say, it's a preseason game. But the guys that actually played, you could tell that they actually playing to try to win a spot on the squad. Because, you didn't have, the Khalil Max and the Roquan Smith and Danny Trevathan out there on defense. No Jalen Johnson, no Eddie Jackson, no Tayshaun Gibson. But them guys were actually out there flying around, playing some defense. And our special teams leave a little something to be desired because Grant was eating them up on kickoff and punt return. But overall, for a first preseason game, they look prepared. They really did. So that was impressive as well.
But even though it was a preseason game, Cam, what was the best part about the offensive line?
Right. 0 tackles, 0 QB hits.
Yep. No sacks, no quarterback hits. I don't care what nobody say. I mean, it's a preseason game. When our guys can walk away with clean jerseys, man, that's what we've been through.
Okay. Hey, Tammy, did you get a chance to watch it? I know with you being in Atlanta, sometimes it's a little difficult, especially getting some of the preseason games. Did you get a chance to watch any of it?
I didn't get to see the game because I was getting ready for my show mainly, but I did watch some highlights and I did do some reading. So I would say that I would echo what they say as far as Justin Fields looking very poised. I would say his movement in the pocket was good. His decision making seemed to be good from the highlights that I saw, and it was good to see him get his first NFL touchdown. I would say that I wouldn't criticize him, much because it's preseason and it was his first game. But I would just say where he did have the fumble, if he wasn't protecting the ball, so you just got to remember to protect the ball, and they just
Good
smacked
point.
the goose. But other than that, I mean, he led the team to a victory. Just preseason, but it was a good start.
Okay. Yeah. Hey, I thought he was real poised. That was some of the positives. I mean, the kid is extremely fast. I mean, even some of those plays where he took off and run. I mean, I thought about when I saw him running was the Tampa had a running back that they used to call Cadillac Williams, and not that he had
Yeah.
Cadillac's style, but when he was running, I just said, man, he's running as smooth as a Cadillac, right? And it made me think about the Cadillac because it looked like he was running with no effort.
And he
You
was
know,
fast.
but,
He was
yeah.
fast.
Now I will
And running
say,
past people.
yeah, running past. Now the negative I will say is as far as running, he's gonna have to start sliding. You in the NFL, they're gonna knock your head off on some of those plays. Like that, like the fumble, right? I think he even spent on that play
He did.
and got caught. And in the NFL, that slide, there's nothing to prove, especially as a quarterback, by taking those hits. So make sure he start learning to slide on those plays and just get the yards that's there, and run out of bounds or slide, know when to do that. But as far as I thought he read the defense well. He went to his progressions well. Now, the negative I just saw in the progression was it was a couple of times where he passed down on some check downs that were easy
That was there
throws.
right away. They was there
Yeah,
right away.
they're there right away. And, take those 4 or 5 yards. Every play don't have to be a big play, especially that one in the end zone. That's one of those plays. If you don't take it right away, you can end up with a safety, or you end up with a safety not because they tackle you, but because you get a holding penalty or something in the end zone. Because he ended up throwing to the check down, but he had to roll out and throw to the check down play. And then maybe some of the earlier passes early on where, you kind of expect that. You're a little hyped up. And, of course, the defensive players you're playing against, people may say those second and third string players, but those players are playing at 100 in preseason. The starters come in, they may play half speed, but those guys are playing at 100 because they want to make the team. So,
hey, this the NFL. This the NFL. They on the NFL roster for a reason. Just because they second and third string, that don't mean they can't play.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
What? The second and third string guy means that outside the NFL, they the best players in the world. But what I will say, yeah, he did a couple. He did some things, and we should be critical, of course, because he's a rookie. Like I said, the poise is one thing. I'm so used to rookie quarterbacks. Okay, they'll hand off the ball. They may fumble. A lot of times they not only miss check downs, but they miss receivers completely. I never felt like when he stood back that he didn't understand what was going on. I just think that just some of the decisions, and one of the passes, one of the guys in my job was like, oh, y'all on, you see that pass, that high pass he threw? I said that was an excellent pass because you know what? He threw it to where it's okay. This was going to be a jump pass. He said, my man's going to either catch it or it's going to be an incompletion. I'm not going to get a pick. And just for where he threw the ball, I was impressed, man. I was impressed with a lot of his throws where they were. So I could rag on because he's a rookie and we're going to give it to him. Like I said, you can't carry a football spin off like this. Like Bernard said, most definitely, you got to make sure you keep an eye on those check downs. But something we talked about a few shows ago, not that he can't grasp it, but just maybe from a repetitive standpoint to get him used. Maybe Nagy needs to cut the field in half somewhat in certain portions of the field. I don't know.
But just to reiterate, I'm sorry, but no, just to reiterate, at the press conference, he said he'll never do this spin move ever again in NFL. He's like, that don't work. He did say that. He's like, I never use this spin move ever again. So the kid is learning real quick on the fly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, a spin move in the NFL a running back could do it, but you have to be precise and know where you at on the field when you do it. It was very popular in the 70s and 80s, but over the years, coaches have kind of coached it out of players. But as far, especially a quarterback, you definitely have to be careful with a spin move. Tammy, what you got, Tammy?
No, I'm just saying, is it just me, or like did it get durable for everybody else? Because I'm trying to figure out if I need to go back, coming in and out, because everybody got robotic.
You know what? Let me look at my connection, because it could be my connection, because I'm outside, and make sure. Because I didn't see anything. It looked fine to me. Okay, it said okay. Do it still look the same way?
No, it's robotic. It's the sound.
It's the
I don't know
sound.
if it's just me.
The sound.
Okay. I think it's just you, Tammy, because I don't hear from nobody else when I come
and
in.
I hear you crystal clear.
I'm gonna go in and come back out.
Okay.
Man. And
so anyway, let's look at these stats again, which Cam just read. Justin Fields threw for a passer rate of 106.7. He completed 14 out of 20 passes for 142 yards, rushed for 33 yards on 5 carries, and he rushed for a touchdown and threw for a touchdown, if I remember correctly. I didn't put that on the stats.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. We got Tammy coming back.
And at one point, Bernard, even 7 straight completions, it should have been 8.
Yeah.
But dude dropped it.
Right, Adams dropped the ball. Yeah.
I could be critical, which, and rightfully so we should, because he's a rookie. But like I said, as much football as we've all watched, and we've seen some rookies come in and throw it too high, too low, it just seemed like most of his passes were like in an area. I mean, it's almost like as a receiver, Jay, how do you feel Justin Fields did as far as his passing accuracy, not just the completions, but just where he was placing the ball? What do you think about it? How do you feel he did?
Everything was in the catch radius, like you said. He had completed 7 straight passes before Rodney Adams dropped that pass that should have been a completion. That pass should have been a completion. I didn't see not one pass, even the pass that you're talking about where he threw Javon Williams a jump ball, which I don't know why
that's what
that. Yeah, I don't know why he did that. But it was either Williams was going to win the match or the ball was going to be out of bounds. So everything he threw was in a receiver's catch radius, which was, I mean, even the balls that he threw back across his body as he was rolling out to the right and throwing back to the left, they was all in a receiver's catch radius. And as a receiver, that's all you can ask for. You just got to make the play.
Yeah, tight spirals too.
Yeah, that's true, Jay, because some of those balls that were incompletions were right there. Some of it was just a matter of this: the receiver didn't have separation, and the ball was defended well. Like that deep ball he threw, that ball was right in that radius. And that's a matter of maybe in that case, maybe if you throw it a half yard more, maybe it's catchable. But that's on the receiver. The receiver has to fight for that ball like that, right? And fight through some of the contact of the ball, because he was not playing with the first string receivers as well. And Williams, I had to talk about Williams. Williams had this offsides that was comical.
That was probably the most egregious offside penalty I've seen on the wide receiver in the history of the game. Because he really went off the line like it's a pass play. This ball might be coming to me. I'm like, wow, dude. Even Justin Fields looked at him like, dude, what you doing? What you doing? So yeah, hey, I don't know if we're gonna get to it in the show.
Did you see the look on the face of the graph?
I don't know if we're gonna get to it in the show, but that wide receiver room and the running back room, that's gonna be real interesting, man, because there's some guys on this team that I like, and they name it Riley Ridley and Javon Williams. For real.
Yeah, I agree. Man.
Him and Ridley played together for college for a while, didn't he?
Yeah, they played. I think they played a year at Georgia when Justin Fields was at Georgia before he transferred. Him and Riley really was teammates. I don't know if Williams was on that team. He might have been. So as you can see, they did have kind of a connection, but Riley really wound up dropping the ball that he should have caught. And he wound up false start right after a catch that he made. And the coaches have always said in his third year, it's just his inconsistent. He's just not consistent. That's why he can't get on the field because he's not consistent enough. It's more mental with him than it is physical.
Yeah, a few weeks ago, I think we even mentioned it on our last show. We had what was that, about 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks, whatever it was. We mentioned that really was dropping every pass in practice, no matter who was throwing the ball to him. So he's going to he's making it for himself to not even be on the practice squad. So hey, you better make it happen the next game, because next game the starter's going to play, I believe, half the game. Is that the formula? This usually be the third game, but second game this year.
Second game is actually going to be what they call the dress rehearsal game. And Nagy said that Justin Fields is going to play a lot with the number ones this week. So that'll be interesting to see how he respond in that capacity as far as playing with the number ones against a number one defense. So we'll see what happens.
And Mitch is coming back.
Cut it out. hey, the Bear fan in me and me wanting to be so right actually made me watch the Buffalo game last week when he actually started the game.
Yeah.
Not impressed. Not impressed. You know, I've been kind of following just to see, you know, because I like Mitch. I think Mitch is a nice guy and all that. He just can't play football. And, you know, I've been following him, and in Buffalo, they was talking about, he's having a great spring, not spring training, but he's having a great training camp, and yada this and yada that. Get on the field last Thursday night, I believe it was. The same old Mr. Biscuit. I was just like, wow. So it'll be interesting. I think I'm going to the game this Saturday just to see. I actually donated my ticket to last game to a good cause, to a boys club. We donated our tickets. But I think I'm going to go to the game this weekend just so I can see Mitch and see what the Buffalo Bill hype is all about.
But he had another uniform now, man, and because he's in another uniform, I can say this. It's just like that girl in the beauty pageant when they ask her, they're like, do you know what the molecular form of an amoeba is? It's a beauty contest. We don't care how smart you are. So it's like he's a nice guy and all that stuff, but he sucks. The only person sucked more than he did was watching Tim Tebow trying to throw a block.
Oh my God! now we definitely getting off script, but that was terrible, man. That was terrible.
Here's the guy. Here's Tebow. Tebow threw a block like this. He's like taking a selfie with his boy.
But it was almost like the defender was really trying to show him up. Without let him know he was going to show him up, because the defender was so aggressive. And Tim Tebow, he just whipped. Yeah. And I'm just like, oh, my God. Really? So,
that block, too. Yeah, it was 2 blocks. But that first block was like a block where quarterback. That's what it looked like. It looked like a block that a quarterback
would try to make like a reverse or something.
Yeah, they're just trying to get in the way a little bit, but you're playing tight end. And if you look at Tim Tebow's size, he like he put on some weight.
Yeah.
He looked pretty big, and to go and whiff on that block like that, I mean, he really looked like he was almost that guy's size. Yeah. So he whiffed on that play, and then the next play, not the next play after, but later on in that game, the guy was lined up right in front of him, and he just did a little swim move. Right.
Abused him. That's what he did. Abused him and made the tackle in the backfield. That's what he did. That's exactly what he did.
Hey, like we always say, it's not what you know, it's who you know.
That's the only
right. That's the only reason and of course a little WP is helping him as well.
Well, that's a whole nother show.
Right, that's another show.
That's a whole nother show.
Tammy's like, don't get me started.
Right. That's a whole nother show.
What you got, Tammy?
My friend.
What I'll say about the game overall, to get back to the Bears.
Thank you.
From what I read and what I saw, They played well overall. It's preseason. They got to knock the cobwebs off. I get that. A couple things that I hope that they don't do that they did at the beginning of last year, which is go down in the first half and always have to play catch up, because all last season they said that was going to come back to bite them because they were going to run into teams that they couldn't do that against. So I get it with preseason, so it's not necessarily, ingrained that that's how they're going to approach it. But I am going to be curious to see if they start the season off the way they did last year. They're always going down and playing catch up. And then I'm also curious to see if they go back to doing the stupid penalties. So they have to be conscious, to me, of those two things. I know it's preseason, so I'm not going to judge it too harshly, but I'm going to be watching for that when they really start. Or do they do those two things? Stupid penalties and getting down and have to play catch up.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Tammy, that's a valid point, Tammy, because some of the preseasons under Nagy, even though preseason doesn't mean a lot, but what I did see in some of the preseasons were under Nagy was times when the offense, regardless of what defense they were playing against, their inability to execute plays in the preseason, which at some point it became troubling during preseason, because after maybe the first game, it's a little rusty, guy. You expect a couple of incomplete passes, etc. That should happen because you're working off that rust. But you shouldn't be getting into the second and third preseason game and you're having problems getting first downs and So I did like the fact that the Bears were able to move the ball when Fields was in there, regardless of who he was playing against, because we saw in the previous Nagy preseasons games where their offense actually could not move the ball at all. What you had, Jaye?
Yeah. That was one of the things that I noticed. I saw how Nagy was a lot more animated on the sideline for this game. I don't know if he's just like feeling the urgency, but he was a lot more animated and he looked like he was a lot more focused. One thing I always said over the last couple of seasons, where him as a play caller, I felt like he was just throwing darts and just trying to see what stick. But I felt like it's the first preseason game, but I felt like he actually had a rhythm. So I don't know if it's one of those things where him trying to bring along a young quarterback is fueling that. But I actually saw some method to the madness. Like, okay, I'm going to run this, and then I'm going to play action off this. Because that touchdown pass that he threw to Jesse James, if you watch two plays prior to that, it was almost like the same play. But what Jesse James did was he ran the route, but he actually kind of stopped and curled it up. He actually stopped and curled it up. He didn't get the pass thrown to him, but it showed that the defense, like, okay, this guy coming around. And if you look at the touchdown play, if you see the defender, when Jesse James come across the formation, he actually stops because he thinks Jesse James is going to curl it up like he did a couple of plays prior to that, but Jesse James went up the field. So I'm like, okay, you know what? This is the method to the madness. You actually calling plays to make sure the future plays that you call are going to be successful. So that was one thing that I actually grasped from this particular game. And it's going to be interesting to see what, these next couple of preseason games, because instead of having 4 preseason games, they only have 3. So it shortens the time. And you got to cut players. So it's going to be interesting to see this Buffalo game, how he called the plays in that game as well.
Hey, Jay, you mentioned Jesse James, and we mentioned him on the last broadcast. Those were 2 nice catches that he made in that game. Like that one I believe it was on the sideline. Oh, man. I know Jay was in the house like, And
like I said, that was part of one of the most impressive drives of this game to me, because that was in the 2-minute drill with 45 seconds left. They had 2 timeouts. They was driving down the field. And for you to go from the 23 to get into field goal range as a rookie, that was impressive. That was the most impressive drive of the entire game to me. Forget the touchdowns, forget the run for the touchdown, forget the pass to Jesse James touchdown. Right. Them going from the 23 with 45 seconds left and putting some points on the board before halftime, to me, that was critical. Because not only is that execution, but it's a learning process. That's a learning process for a young quarterback.
What you got, Tammy?
No, I was just gonna make a smart aleck comment about Jesse James. I still say we're gonna ignore the 2 years that he spent in Green Bay and just pretend that he came straight from Seattle. So I mean, I like the way that he looks. So that might be, that a good pickup for us. I think we made a lot of good, pickup in the off season to get people that we needed. And like Cam said earlier, which was something I was definitely gonna say, it was impressive. The offensive line, the way that they protected the quarterback, that was good to see a decent offensive line. That maybe our problems, and I know it's still not the first stringers. Maybe our problem in that area has been addressed, and quarterback now.
Okay.
Yeah. You know what? I was looking at my sheet here. Latavius Simmons played every single snap for the Bears at right tackle.
Yep.
That's Wilkerson was on the left side. What's my guy's name? Kyrus Tonga. He didn't really get any type of on the sheets, but it's like he's that dude that you don't see the stats, but he held his own. It's like, I know we're piecing an offensive line together, somewhat, but the guys actually played like they didn't want nobody to touch. They wanted their guys to get clean. I was impressed by what they did. In that regards, they created space. They gave a little time. Let's see, who else do we have? As far as the offensive line is concerned,
it was a bunch of nobodies out there. They had Alex Bars out there. He played a little bit.
Yeah,
but for the most part, it was a lot of nobodies. Because it was a guy like some of them guys I had never even heard of. I'm like, even like from last year, the practice squad, I'm like, okay, Simmons was really the only person,
right?
From last year that I really remember outside of Barnes and Busterford and all them guys.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I mean, they just pieced the offensive line together to play in this game.
Yeah. But
so that brings the point. When do we start being concerned about Tevin Jenkins?
I'm already concerned.
Concerned?
I'm already concerned.
Yeah.
I don't want to label the kid already, but I think I was telling Guy, this is like a Gabe Karimi, Chris Williams, Mark Colombo. This is one of them things where it's like now we finding out. Oh, that's why we got him in the second round. He was projected to be a first rounder. Did somebody know something that the Bears didn't? But listen to Adam Schefter. They say that it wasn't really nothing out there saying that he was injured. So I don't know what his injury comes from. He actually practiced in OTAs and nobody said a word. So, it's a mystery right now. But it is concerning because, he already missed every practice and the first game. We only got 3 preseason games. So it is concerning. Not the fact that they're for right tackle. They bring him for right tackle and left tackle. So that's another concern.
And you bring in a 39-year-old guy to come in and fill his spot. I mean, there's probably something that they're not telling us. I mean, because it seems kind of odd that he doesn't practice at all. He didn't do any practices at all. Now you come to preseason games, it's like he's nowhere to be found. That's interesting. If we want to put a little light at the tunnel, didn't Roquan Smith sit out most of his first year too? Didn't he have an injury or something like that? Was it Roquan? I could have swore that he just didn't start until late.
Right.
Okay. Right. Okay. Well, but we got to see, man. Fingers crossed, though, he's okay. But if not, we got to dig, man.
Yeah, the interesting thing, too, is he's not even, what I understand, he's not even shadowing anybody, right? So that becomes important as well. If you have an injury or something like that, you're at least taking mental reps of what's going on. So you're learning how to play at the NFL level. Nothing is better than actually playing and getting the actual speed. But to not be taking mental reps and shadowing a guy makes me think there's something more to this than what they're saying. So I agree with Jay that there's something going on because he should be at least shadowing his guy, taking mental reps so he would know the plays. This is like even when they had the family day at Soldiers Field, was that a week or so ago, whenever that was. I don't believe he didn't put on his uniform.
He didn't.
Yeah, okay, he didn't put on okay.
Wow.
So that's a concern because you got to get better at offensive line because we know last year some of the early problems that we lost Jay for a minute. Some of the early problems we were having was the inability to protect the QB. So now we draft a guy in the second round that can't even put his uniform on.
All we can do is next man up, man, because it just seems like a growing trend with us. I mean, we'll get a guy who could be a stud, looks like he's going to be great, and something happens. He gets injured or doesn't perform well. You just got to, like you say, next man up.
Right. Tammy had sent me a note. I want to stray away for a minute, but Tammy had sent me a note. We was kind of talking about some of the players that were noticeable cuts, right? That we knew they got cut last year, and players that they added. And I didn't get a chance to do it because I took my daughter to college this weekend to Xavier University in New Orleans. Zulu. Hey, but anyway, those HBCUs orientation weekends are so hype. My oldest daughter went to North Carolina A&T, and I was comparing them between the two as far as how hype it was. But both of them are so hype. What's going on? I mean, you almost want to go enroll yourself in school. You get so hyped up.
Right.
They had people all through the campus with shirts on. They had parents that had actually volunteered that didn't live down there. Matter of fact, one of my classmates from high school, her daughter is a junior, so she wasn't even part of the orientation. She went down there early and volunteered to be part of orientation, but just showing how the commitment that the parents even feel to the school. But anyway, that weekend, it was just so hyped up. I was tired all weekend. They even had a rite of passage ceremony on Sunday where, they lit the candles and you gave the children cards and etc. So I think the only difference was when I was at A&T, the whole time we like, Aggie pride. I was like, man, let me go get my shirt.
Right. You're not in New Orleans, and somebody say, hey, I'm such and such. Who that is?
Right.
Who that? Right. Who that?
So, Jay, you about to make the trip, this weekend coming up to Ohio
Wednesday.
State?
Yeah, Wednesday. We leave on Wednesday. Drop her off. I'm moving Thomas at 1:00 on Wednesday, and I'm going tomorrow to buy me a Bears Justin Fields shirt just so I could have a Chicago Bears shirt on with Justin Fields coming from Ohio State. So I'm actually kind of looking forward to that. But yeah, we leave here Wednesday. We live here Wednesday. We with my baby girl, and like you said, it's 6 years. It's a 6-year difference between the oldest and the youngest, but it all feels the same all over again, man. But it's a blessing. It really is, just to see, the kids going off to college this year, and there's so many kids going off to college at this time. It's just a blessing to see it, man. It's just a blessing to see it. So congratulations on you dropping off your daughter, and may she have a blessed school year and all that good stuff, and stay safe, and get it on.
You know what? Let me segue real quick, man. I just wanted to make a mention. Came out to support my boy Jay for the trunk party, and I'm gonna tell you right now, y'all will miss, man. It was lit. The food was excellent. He has a wonderful family. That baby girl is a genius. She's a genius. But it was excellent, man. It made me proud, man. It's not my child, but you my boy, man. It's like we all family. And to me, as a black man, when I see stuff like that, man, it makes me happy, man. So kudos, brother. And the drinks were good.
So let me get back on topic of what we were talking about. I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to kind of shoot from the hip with some of y'all help this round table discussion. But some of the notable players that were cut last year or went into a free agent, the top one that sticks out to me was I'm sorry, I'm drawing a mental blank right now. But the cornerback,
Kyle Fuller.
Kyle Fuller is the most noticeable absent from the Bears defense. One of the other noticeable, I noticed the Bears actually brought a player back, which is kind of unusual for Chicago Bears. I can't think of the player's name right now. Like I said, I'm sorry I didn't get a chance. Christian Jones. Yeah, I usually have all my stuff prepared, but like I said, coming from the trip, I didn't get a chance to prepare some of my notes. But I thought that I didn't really realize they had signed him. So when I saw him in the game, that was surprising because I didn't notice the signing. But that's unusual to see the Bears bring a player back.
He ain't gonna make the team.
He ain't gonna make the team?
No. Alex Ogletree just cemented his position on this squad. This dude, before this game, when they signed him about 10 days ago, this dude got 6 interceptions in practice. And then they played him in this game where he had only been here like 9 to 10 days. And he had 5 or 6 flash plays. Alex Ogletree is going to make this squad. I like Christian Jones. I thought it was a good idea to bring him back. He played in Detroit the last couple of seasons. But Alex Ogletree, that was a real good signing as far as a free agent inside linebacker. So we're going to be set right there.
Okay, before I say this, let me do this one last time, y'all. Duke Shelley in the nickel. Y'all can say what you want. 6 tackles. I mean, he was in there. I don't care. You know what? It's part of it. It's just like being in the league when guys talk, "Oh, you dunked on such and such." If you get dunked on, that means you trying. Every time I looked up, I see Shelley with the tackle, and I'm like, bust the screen. Who? This dude he did his thing, man. Like I said, it's only one game, but it's always very promising to see that he has 6 tackles and a pass breakup. Caleb Johnson had 5 tackles, 2 tackles for a loss. Alex Ogletree reminds me of my guy from Tampa Bay. What's his name? 45. It's like every time I looked up in the first quarter, whatever. Every time I looked up, Ogletree. You love that, man. Love that aggressiveness. I think he basically, that spot is his.
Okay, so that's one of the other noticeable absent players that was not either re-signed or cut, was Buster Screen. Also another noticeable missing player on the offense is Anthony Miller. Anthony Miller was traded a few weeks ago, so that's another player that the Bears did not bring back this season. Also, we had players that we talked about Tevin Jenkins. I'm still getting a little worried about Tariq Cohen not being able to get on the field. I mean, I think we said it was game 3 that he was injured.
Yep.
And now you're getting into that's an injury that you see players come back from that injury. They had that surgery, and you get around like 6, 7, 8 months in, they working out, and
you know what,
they
Bernard?
back playing.
He cam size. He's cam size. as little reps as you can get. But if I'm not mistaken, I don't know. You probably know this much better than I would, Jay. When you're on the PUP list, you're now on the injured list, so that means that you can come back anytime. There is the time frame. It's basically contingent upon the squad, right?
Yeah, before the season started. But once the season started, he on the PUP list. I know they changed it last year because of COVID. I think you had to sit out the first 3 weeks. But if they go back to the original PUP list, he would have to sit out the first 6 or 7 games. You know what? I ain't even worried about Tariq Cohen because to me, I feel like this is the strongest running back room that the Bears have had since Nagy been here. Because you got Montgomery, you got Damian Harris, and then you got Khalil Herbert, who's the rookie from the Bears. Good. The Bears good. They good in the running back room. The Bears are good everywhere because even when they traded Miller, right after they traded Miller, they signed Jesse James. I'm like, okay, I kind of see where the Bears might be trying to go with this offense. They signed a tight end that's going to be able to help their rookie quarterback. I'm telling y'all, I told my boy Ed, I'm so looking forward to seeing Ed so we can go to a game because we sat out all last year. But I told Ed, the Bears are going to be sneaky good. I really believe that. I really believe they're going to be sneaky good because I really feel like Nagy has kind of like put some stuff into place where it actually makes sense. It actually makes sense. You got Cole Kmet, Jimmy Graham, and Jesse James in your tight end room.
Yeah.
That's good. You got a veteran in Graham and Jesse James just played in numerous games, has caught a lot of passes, has started a lot of games. Then you got the young rookie Kmet. I like this. I like this squad. It just all depends on how this offensive line gonna shake out. But this has been the strongest position player on offense. They wide receiver room, they tight end room, and they running back room is solid. It's solid. So it all depends on what this offensive line look like.
And the person they don't even talk about that much, Artavius Pierce led the team in rushing yesterday, 50 yards. Ryan Nall had 43, and then I just realized they were teammates in college.
Every preseason, Ryan Nall.
Their college accounted for 93 yards on the ground. So, hey, he's right, man. That backfield, man, it's a very good problem to have.
Yes,
as opposed to wondering, I'm just very excited, man, because the guys, like something that we talked about a few shows ago about the draft, and it's still no disrespect to Kevin, but we were looking at some of the guys that were coming in. The difference being with these guys is they coming in and they like, y'all, I know y'all started, but we coming for your spot, and they playing hard.
Right. Hey, I see one of our viewers, James Gilmore, who comes on the show sometimes. James actually lives in Vegas, so I was trying to get James on tonight, but it's a little bit harder for James to come in on this time because the time difference in Vegas from us. But he was able to tune in, and he said Tevin Jenkins equals Kevin White.
That ain't good. That's
not good. That's not good.
That's not good.
Kevin White never developed anything. But going into game 2, we're playing Buffalo, right?
Yep.
What should we look for in the Buffalo game? This is the dress rehearsal game, so I believe Mitch is probably gonna play as the starter in that game, just because they probably won't give too much work to Josh Allen. I'm not sure what they're gonna do because they did not play him at all in the last game, I don't believe.
Yeah, but because this is dress rehearsal, I think Josh Allen might play a quarter.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. That he might play a quarter because this is a dress rehearsal game. He might play a quarter. But what to look for is our defense being able to stop the run and find out who our number 2 corner is going to be. That because we still don't know that. Marcus Trufant, he's been hurt the entire training camp. Vildor has flashed, but the Bears are kind of deep, man. I haven't said this in a long time. Well, there's some players on this team. So just admit, like guys like Trey Roberson, who was making plays the other night. The team is deep, but they need to solidify that second corner and be able, with our front seven, to put pressure on the quarterback and stop the run.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm looking for. That's what I'm looking for. Especially if we finna go ones against ones in a quarter and a half. That's what I'm looking for.
Okay, so you're looking for them be able to stop the run defensively. Well, what do you think the Bears we need to see in game 2, Tammy?
I think the Bears need to make a quicker start than what I read. They need to avoid like the 3 and outs and not get back in the first half to show that that's not a pattern that they're going to get back into. Avoid the stupid penalties, and then I agree with what Jay said.
Okay. Hey, what about you, guy?
Yeah, defense gonna have to amp up. The interesting thing though, we defense, but also we got to do a better job of taking care of the ball because we had 4 fumbles. A lot of people know we had 4 fumbles, but we were able to recover. But we had 3 sacks and we had a pick. Was
and
it
a fumble recovery.
Carson?
And a fumble recovery. We had a fumble recovery too. We had 2
Darius
turnovers.
and 2 snaps had a quarterback hit. Let's see who we had. We had let's see, of course, it was talking about Paris Tonga. Patrick Scales had 2 special team tackles. So yeah, we're gonna have to show more, but I got a real feeling that probably towards the middle of the first quarter, Josh Allen's going to be eating horse dovers up in the skybox. I don't think because all the money they gave him, they're like, dude, right now we don't have to tell you, we don't have to find out how good you are. This money we gave you, let us know how good you are. You're going to hand off a couple, you're going to throw one, and then get your behind up here in the skybox. We're going to have a party going in the disco ball. But yeah, I think our defense really needs to step up, kind of do some containment, and we have to kind of sort of actually, add a little more on what we saw with Justin Fields, how we were able to get positive yards with every play, and none of that, jet sweep, negative yard stuff or guys getting sacked. So yeah, there we go.
I want to get an opinion from our guest host tonight, Cam, and see what does Cam think he'd like to see in game 2. What you got, Cam? What do you want to see in that game?
I think they should work on some of their pass plays, and they should work on getting separated.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
See.
There you go.
So
he ain't the only one. He ain't the only one. The Bears need to get separation with their wide receivers.
Hey, that is so key, Cam. You do have to have separation in the passing game.
I like that.
Yeah, I agree with Jay. I like to see the defense a little bit more solid. And I really want to see who's going to separate themselves as far as that corner on defense.
I do too.
Who's going to be that person that get that other side with Jalen Johnson? Offensively, I like to see them work the ball down the field a little bit more. And also I want to see with Justin, I really don't want them rolling him out as much when he comes in this game. I really want them to have him just, kind of stand in the pocket. Not that he's had to be a pocket passer, but I don't want them to be rolling him out every play in the preseason, because what you really want your rookie to do is be able to get used to planting his feet and throwing the ball. And you keep rolling him out, then you throwing all these throws where you're moving, you kind of throwing against your body, because what you don't want to do is develop bad habits of throwing balls against your body, because you designing all these rollout plays in preseason where he's rolling out throwing a ball, and like I said, so throwing the ball against your body, it should be just something that occurs every once in a while, but that you should not keep designing, because the kid is smart enough that he's reading the field, so you don't have to cut off no one side of the field for him by rolling them out. That's not necessary.
These rollouts might have to be necessary though,
right?
Depending on what the offensive line looking like, right? so I mean, it's like you might not want that, but that might be necessary because we ain't got nobody to protect him, and
right.
Even the rookie Larry Borum, he on the concussion list. It's like they depleted an offensive line. Yeah. They depleted. James Daniels not practicing. It's so the rollouts might be necessary just to keep the quarterback upright, no matter if it's Andy Dalton or Justin Fields. Unfortunately.
But something that scared me too, staying in the pocket is one thing, but I saw him a couple times in the pocket. He was deep in the pocket. And I'm looking like one time he was in the pocket and he just bounced out and he took off, which was fine. But I worry about what about top flight pass rushers, or you got corner blitzes, or you got these guys who do like that. what they're doing is they're creating like this sort of like concave. So like when he was there, you're getting all the blocking, but during the regular season, when you got all your studs out there and they create one of those jokers, I don't care how fast you are, now they got you in the bubble, man. And all we need is like, you don't necessarily got to get hit hard. You can just get grabbed and somebody fall on your leg or something like that, man. I just really need, and with what we have with the offensive line, it would be nice for him to sit in the pocket. But right now, until we can really show that we can protect that guy, man.
And like I said, I don't care who it is, whether it's Fields or Dalton. You know, you gotta be able to protect the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Had to pull over to make this comment. You guys are talking about the Chicago Bears, not the Chicago Justin Fields. Many are not looking at the big picture. And that's the thing. You know, a lot of people are not looking at the big picture because everybody whole thing is like, start Justin Fields. You know, I'm a big component. I said it a couple of weeks ago when we had the show. If Justin Fields outright wins the job in training camp, then give it to him. But this one preseason game doesn't convince me that he should be the starter. It was a good debut, but it doesn't convince me that he should be the starter. You know, I'm not a big, you know, Andy Dalton. You know, we know what he is. We know what he is. But at the same time, you're not trying to get your franchise hurt either. If it's gonna be that bad, let Andy Dalton take all that pressure.
And in fairness to Andy Dalton, he was what? He didn't really do much. He didn't have to. But for what I saw, it just seemed like he was reckless. I mean, I know he's a vet, but it just seemed like this is like the Chicago Bears seem like the quarterback funeral home. Like when they come here, they can play great, and they come here and then they just look horrible. Like you guys ain't got no skills. He looked decent, but like you know, he was saying, yeah, that is true. It's not the Chicago Justin Fields. Yeah, Andy Dalton is our quarterback, but we probably are more excited because he has the potential to be one of the great quarterbacks. And there's so many people that dog this dude out so much, you know. So yeah, but you're absolutely right. It is a much bigger picture. I mean, we're talking playoffs. I want to see us go to playoffs consistently. I want us to see us to grow the offensive line. I want us to see us have some guys who are cohesive. You know, you just got Mooney. You know, Mooney and Robinson are given or whatever, but we want to have some pieces around us for a while where we can have this broadcast and talk about good stuff and stop getting our hearts broken every damn year.
And it's really just like, to me, it's just like wait and see. You know, it's the first preseason game. I ain't never seen that many people in the stands for a first preseason game at Soldier Field. I've been going to Soldier Field for a long time. I ain't never seen that many people in the stands at Soldier Field for a first preseason game. But the hype is around the kid. It is. And it's absolutely garnered for him. Absolutely. But at the same time, we still gotta keep it real. We still gotta keep it real. If he win the job, play the kid. But right now, you know, now next week, playing with the ones, if he come out against a Buffalo defense and they actually playing their ones, which Buffalo is a pretty good defense, then we might start to talk. But right now, just cool the hype. It was cool. It's nice to see. We got a future at the quarterback position. Let's break it down a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to the Bears being very productive this season. No predictions yet. Hold on, we got something from El Ray. What El Ray has here? El Ray said, until you get a line, El Ray is a high school football coach. Until you get a line, things are not going to flow well offensively. I do see more team speed overall, however, the more aggressive play calling.
Right.
Okay. Good comments, El Ray.
You know what? When we used to do that, you know what? And this is the way I felt last year. Every time we did the jet sweep, it was like, oh, this didn't work. Okay, let's do the jet sweep. But there was no change up. It was like even, what is it? You know, blind people, you know, Helen Keller, Stevie Wonder, Ray Charles, all of them could see. When your boy is in that single back, it's like, even the announcers like, I wonder, they're not going to really fool anyone. Here comes the jet sweep, and boom. You know, at least now with the speed that we have, but just like Elray was saying, which is absolutely true. I mean, we really don't have a true synopsis. Although the offensive line kept the quarterbacks clean, let's see what happens against the Bills. If they can do the same thing, but still, I'm not embarking too much on that because we're putting pieces together. We can keep it clean all during the preseason, but during the regular season, we got to have some consistency where we got guys that are able to suit up that aren't hurt. So.
And just to piggyback back up what Tammy said too, we playing against a Buffalo team this week. You can't get down 13-3 and expect to come back. That can't be your MO. That definitely can't. You got to show some offensive cohesion to be able to put points on the board on a consistent basis. So that's gonna be another thing that I'm looking for. Like, put some points on the board because that was our problem last year. Everything was a comeback win. Everything was a comeback win. We down 10 points at halftime. We down 10 points with 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter. So cohesion on offense would be great. And like you said, the Bears, you can tell they have increased their team speed. We didn't see. I think Darnell Mooney played maybe a series, but we know he got wheels. Allen Robinson is who he is. We added Marquise Grissom, Damian Bird, so they added some speed. Even in the backfield, Damian Harris, Khalil Herbert, those guys got some speed. So they have added speed on this team. It's just we just need to see some offensive cohesion that's putting some touchdowns in the end zone and not kicking the ball for field goals.
Hey, can I ask something real quick too? That's very important because if you look at our defense, to be perfectly honest with you, I mean, everything is like a millimeter from being a great play and a bad play. We had so much attrition last year because our offense 3 and out. And like the guys, like I was saying last year, it's like the defense is sitting on the line like, man, will y'all move the ball? It's like I just sat down. Now I'm sitting down and they're like, come on back out on the field. If we can get that cohesion on offense and spare our defense, I think our defense is going to be even that much better. But all I can do.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, I'd like to thank everybody who watched us tonight on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch TV. And I'd like to thank our special guest host tonight, Cam, who's celebrating his 10th birthday. He did an excellent job. He did an excellent job sitting in as a host tonight. He's a big Chicago Bears fan. So
and he's an A student too. So
and that's even better.
Excellent.
And that's even better.
Excellent. Yeah, let me close this broadcast out before we get dark on me because I'm doing it outside and I see the light is slowly fading. But you see if that's my teeth in a few minutes. Say hey, thank you all for tuning in, and y'all have a nice evening. Peace.
Peace.
You're done good, man.
Offensive line.